designer bags, million-dollar mansions, endless champagne brunches. But behind the glamorous facade, some housewives were drowning in secret debt. From $20 million bankruptcies to stealing from orphans and burn victims, these women faked their fortunes while reality crumbled around them. Here are the housewives who built empires on borrowed money. 1. Erika Jayne. Let's start with the most devastating financial disaster currently unfolding. Erika Jayne's lifestyle wasn't just funded by debt. It was allegedly funded by money stolen from widows, orphans, and burn victims. And as of December 2025, she still hasn't finalized her divorce or faced full accountability. When Erika joined RHOBH in 2015, viewers were mesmerized by her glam squad, private jets, and $20,000 per month glam budget. And her husband, Tom Girardi, was a legendary attorney who won massive settlements against corporations. They lived in a Pasadena mansion worth millions. Everything seemed perfect. Then in November 2020, Erika shocked everyone by filing for divorce after 21 years of marriage. Just weeks later, Tom's law firm, Girardi Keese, was forced into involuntary bankruptcy. The truth came spilling out. Tom had been running a massive Ponzi scheme, stealing settlement money from his own clients to fund his and Erika's lavish lifestyle. The details are horrifying. Tom embezzled over $15 million from clients, including plane crash victims, burn victims, cancer patients, and families who had lost loved ones. One victim, Joe Rui Gomez, suffered burns to 90% of his body in a 2010 gas explosion that killed his girlfriend. Tom won his case in 2013 and was supposed to pay the Rui Gomez family their settlement. By 2017, he stopped paying them entirely. They're still owed $11 million. In August 2024, Tom was convicted on 4 counts of wire fraud. In June 2025, he was sentenced to 87 months in federal prison. That's over 7 years. At age 86 and diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, Tom will likely die in prison. He began serving his sentence in July 2025 at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. But Erika's legal nightmare is far from over. The bankruptcy trustee Alyssa Miller filed a massive lawsuit against Erika, her company EJ Global, and Pretty Mess Incorporated. The lawsuit alleges that between 2008 and 2020, Tom's law firm paid over $25 million to fund Erika's entertainment career. Think about what that means. $25 million that should have gone to burn victims and plane crash orphans allegedly went to pay for Erika's glam squad, her music videos, her designer clothes, and her expensive lifestyle. The trustee claims Erika either knew or should have known where the money was coming from. The lawsuit breaks down the spending. Over $14 million in American Express charges made by Erika on cards issued to her, plus another $11 million in vendor payments for her benefit only. Tom's law firm allegedly paid EJ Global's credit card bills, glam costs, and various other expenses. None of it was properly documented as legitimate business loans. Erika's defense? She claims she had no idea. Emmert, her lawyer, argues that she's just an entertainer with a 12th grade education who trusted her attorney husband to handle finances properly. She says she never received even a penny from the transactions because the money went to her company, not to her personally. But the trustee isn't buying it. Court documents state, Erika's assertion of innocent spouse status is meritless. As Girardi's spouse, she qualifies as an insider, and the transfers made on her behalf constitute a recognized badge of fraud. Erika either signed or authorized every charge made to the relevant American Express accounts and approved all vendor payments, knowing that she had no ability to pay for the charges and invoices. In March 2025, a judge assigned to Erika's case was Anne Huang, and the trial was initially scheduled for summer 2025. By August 2025, reports confirmed the trial would likely begin after June, but was later rescheduled. In October 2025, Erika was desperately trying to settle the $25 million lawsuit, according to attorney Ronald Richards, who tracks the case closely. A full day of mediation occurred on September 22, 2025, and was reset for October 7, 2025. Settlement negotiations continued into December 2025, but as of the latest reports, no deal has been reached. The trial is currently scheduled for February 10, 2026. If Erika loses this case, she could face financial ruin. Ronald Richards explained, Erika can either roll the dice and risk insolvency or work out a principled settlement. She's also facing an $18 million lawsuit from designer Christopher Pizzella, which adds to her mounting legal troubles. Meanwhile, on December 19th, 2025, Erica revealed on Watch What Happens Live that she still hasn't finalized her divorce from Tom after 5 years. She's been through mediation, legal battles, and public scrutiny, but the marriage technically remains intact as Tom serves his prison sentence. Erica continues to appear on RHOBH Season 15, showing off a new boyfriend, John Shrek McPhee, and maintaining her glam lifestyle. Critics question how she can still afford her expensive appearance while facing a $25 million lawsuit. The answer might be that she's banking on settlements or hoping the Bravo paycheck keeps her afloat until the legal dust settles. The most heartbreaking aspect of Erica's story isn't her potential financial ruin. It's the actual victims who are still owed money. Joe Ruigomez and his family won an $11 million judgment that they can now attempt to collect from Erica's assets. Burn victims, plane crash orphans, and cancer patients are watching a reality TV star fight to keep jewelry and designer goods purchased with their settlement money. 2. Teresa Giudice. Teresa Giudice's financial crimes are well documented, but what most people don't realize is that even after serving prison time for fraud, she and her new husband, Luis Ruelas, are drowning in tax debt that could land them in criminal trouble again. Between 2001 and 2008, Teresa and ex-husband Joe Giudice committed systematic fraud. They submitted fake loan applications claiming Teresa worked as an executive assistant, making $15,000 per month. She created phony W-2 forms and fabricated pay stubs. For one mortgage worth over $300,000, she claimed to be a realtor when she wasn't even employed. The couple defrauded multiple banks out of over $5 million. When things collapsed, they filed for bankruptcy in 2009, claiming they owed nearly $11 million. But even in bankruptcy, they lied. They hid assets, concealed income, and made false declarations to the court. In 2014, both pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud, bank fraud, making false statements on loan applications, and bankruptcy fraud. Teresa served 11 months in federal prison starting January 2015. Joe served 41 months and was then deported to Italy because he never obtained U.S. citizenship. The bankruptcy trustee reported that out of their massive $13 million debt, they only repaid $7,500. Everything else went to lawyer fees. The judge denied their bankruptcy request, calling out their dishonesty and stating he'd never seen such confusion and fraud in financial disclosures during his 7 years on the bench. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. In March 2025, records obtained by People revealed that Teresa and Luis Ruelas were issued tax liens totaling over $3 million. Teresa personally owes $303,889.20. Luis owes nearly $2.6 million, plus an additional still open case from December 2024 for $163,523.94. Think about that. Teresa went to prison for financial fraud. She served her time. She supposedly learned her lesson. Then she married a man who owes even more in back taxes than she does. Together, they owe over $3 million to the government while continuing to live in a $3.3 million mansion and showing off designer clothes on camera. According to tax attorney Mitchell Newmark, a tax lien happens when you're made aware of your tax debt, but don't take appropriate action to respond. If the debt goes final, either because you don't challenge the assessment or you challenge it, but you lose in court and you don't pay, then they can seek to collect. And that's when you wind up with a tax line, he explained. Matrimonial lawyer Alan Feigenbaum warned that the situation is certainly very serious, especially with numbers of that magnitude. If there's taxes that are owed, and let's say the IRS determination is not challenged and you still refuse to pay your taxes, there's potential criminal liability, he said. Read that again. Potential criminal liability. Teresa could face criminal charges again for tax issues. After serving time in federal prison, after losing her marriage, after watching Joe get deported, Teresa is potentially heading back to legal trouble. And this time, Luis is right beside her. The pattern is undeniable. Teresa and Joe funded their lavish RHONJ lifestyle with fraud and debt. Now Teresa and Luis are doing the same thing with unpaid taxes. The only difference is the type of debt and the name of the husband enabling it. 3. Sonja Morgan. Sonja Morgan's financial collapse represents one of the most dramatic wealth-to-bankruptcy stories in Housewives history. In November 2010, Sonja filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, claiming to be $19.8 million in debt with only $13.5 million in assets. That's a $6 million hole that took years to climb out of. The source of Sonja's financial ruin was a failed movie project called Fast Flash to Bang Time that was supposed to star John Travolta. Sonja created her own production company, Sonja Productions, and partnered with Hannibal Pictures to make the film. The project fell apart when Sonja couldn't meet her partner's financial demands. Hannibal Pictures sued her and won a $7 million judgment. With administrative fees and legal costs, that judgment ballooned to over $9 million. Sonja was hemorrhaging money, and bankruptcy was her only option. What makes Sonja's timing particularly interesting is that she joined RHONY in 2010, the same year her financial crisis reached its peak. The show became her lifeline. Not her RHONY paycheck of nearly $500,000 per season helped her reorganize her assets and eventually pay off her debts. The bankruptcy process was brutal. Sonja had to sell her homes in France and Colorado. She battled with her ex-husband over proceeds from property sales. Her lawyers sued her for nearly $500,000 in unpaid legal fees from the bankruptcy case itself. 2 cases were filed, though both were eventually dismissed. By 2015, Sonja successfully emerged from bankruptcy after paying back $9 million. She told E! News, "It's over now. It's come to an end. The $9 million plus is all there. It was $7 million judgment, but with the administration fees, it was about another $2 million. It feels great. I paid what I had to pay, and it wasn't easy, but at the same time, it was an experience. It's nice to be free of everyone looking at my money. I finally have my financial privacy back." Sonja rebuilt her life with fashion lines, a catering business called Sonja in the City, and her continued RHONY salary. Today, her net worth is estimated at $8 million. Nowhere near the hundreds of millions she had access to when married to John Adams Morgan, but a respectable comeback from being $20 million in the red. But Sonja's financial drama didn't end with bankruptcy. In May 2025, she was banned from high-end New York restaurant Tucci after skipping out on a $1,000 bill. She claimed she assumed she didn't have to pay, which is a wild assumption for someone who went through bankruptcy, specifically because of financial mismanagement. The restaurant incident shows that even after bankruptcy, even after losing everything and clawing her way back, Sonja still hasn't learned to manage money responsibly. The patterns that led to her bankruptcy, assuming someone else will pay, living beyond her means, not taking financial responsibility, continued decades later. 4. Kim and Croy Biermann. When Kim joined RHOA, viewers wondered how she afforded her opulent lifestyle. The answer was Big Papa, a wealthy married man who bankrolled her life. When she married NFL player Croy Biermann in 2011, fans assumed the couple was set for life with his football salary. They were very wrong. In December 2024, the family's Alpharetta, Georgia mansion went into foreclosure for the second time. This wasn't a surprise. The couple has faced multiple tax liens, unpaid bills, and lawsuits over the years. Their financial problems have been documented publicly since at least 2013. The problem is simple. Kim and Croy spend money they don't have. Croy retired from the NFL in 2016, ending his steady income. But the couple continued living like millionaires. They maintained a massive house, bought luxury items, and funded their children's extravagant lifestyles, including plastic surgery for teenage daughters. Court documents revealed shocking details about their spending habits. They owed $1.1 million on their mortgage. They had unpaid property taxes. Credit card companies were suing them. The IRS had liens against them for unpaid federal taxes. Their debt piled up while they continued filming Don't Be Tardy and pretending everything was fine. In March 2023, Kim and Croy initially filed for divorce, each citing irreconcilable differences. They reconciled briefly, then filed again. Throughout 2024, they fought publicly about custody, finances, and who was responsible for their financial disaster. The foreclosure in December 2024 represented the culmination of years of denial. Kim and Croy had been warned repeatedly that they couldn't afford their lifestyle. They ignored every warning, continued spending, and hoped that somehow things would work out. As of early 2025, reports suggest the couple is trying to sell the mansion to avoid foreclosure, but finding a buyer willing to pay enough to cover their debt has proven difficult. Meanwhile, they continue living in the home, fighting about money, and documenting their dysfunction for anyone who will watch. Kim's story shows what happens when you build your entire lifestyle on someone else's money. First, Big Papa, and then Croy's NFL salary, without ever developing your own sustainable income. When those sources dry up, reality hits hard. 5. Danielle Staub. Danielle Staub filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in June 2012, claiming $1.9 million in debts while making only $63,791 that year. Her income came from $50,000 for appearing on VH1's Famous Food, and the rest from working with Dial-A-Star. Her debt breakdown was staggering. She owed $111,161 to the IRS, $70,000 in property taxes. And here's a detail that shows her priorities: $7,270 to Nordstrom. Think about that. Danielle owed over $100,000 to the government, but also racked up over $7,000 in Nordstrom debt for designer clothes she couldn't afford. Danielle tried to sell her Wayne, New Jersey mansion for years without success, even after marking it down nearly 40%. The house became a symbol of her overextended lifestyle. Too expensive to maintain, impossible to sell, a constant drain on her non-existent finances. TMZ reported that Danielle allegedly tried hiding assets during her bankruptcy case. She quickly settled with creditors for $35,000 to avoid criminal charges. By July 2014, she was officially discharged from her bankruptcy debt, though she still had to pay back taxes. Danielle's bankruptcy showed that reality TV fame doesn't guarantee financial stability. Even with her notoriety from RHONJ, she couldn't generate enough income to maintain the lifestyle she'd been living. The designer clothes, the mansion, the expensive tastes, all funded by debt she had no ability to repay. 6. Dorit and P.K. Kemsley. Dorit and P.K. Kemsley have been plagued by financial problems since before Dorit joined RHOBH in 2016. According to reports, they have unpaid debts dating back to at least 2017. Their financial troubles are so extensive and ongoing that they've become a running joke among fans. At one point, the couple had a notice of default for nearly $300,000 on their property. Dorit admitted on the show that their home was in pre-foreclosure, but blamed everything on PK. She positioned herself as an innocent victim of her husband's financial mismanagement. But here's the thing. Dorit continues to show off designer clothes worth tens of thousands of dollars. She throws expensive parties. She maintains a luxury lifestyle that her and PK's actual income couldn't possibly support. Her entire RHOBH persona is built on appearing wealthy and fashionable, even as debt collectors circle. PK has a documented history of gambling debts and financial problems. He filed for bankruptcy in the UK in 2012. His business ventures have been plagued by lawsuits and unpaid debts. Yet Dorit married him anyway and joined him in a lifestyle funded by credit and borrowed money. The Kemsleys represent a pattern common among housewives, using the show's paycheck to barely keep their heads above water while pretending everything is fine. Dorit's RHOBH salary likely goes straight to creditors and minimum payments on massive debts. Meanwhile, she borrows designer clothes for the show, returns items after filming, and maintains the illusion of wealth. As of 2025, with Dorit and PK's marriage falling apart during season 14 of RHOBH, their financial situation remains precarious. Divorce will only complicate things further as they fight over assets they don't actually own and debts they can't repay. 7. Luis Ruelas. While technically not a housewife, Luis Ruelas deserves mention because his financial problems directly affect Teresa Giudice and show the pattern of her choosing financially troubled men. In September 2024, Luis's company Digital Media Solutions Inc., DMS, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. According to Hello Partner via Reality T, DMS, which specializes in pairing companies with advertisement opportunities, filed for bankruptcy to restructure its business and position itself for future growth. Luis co-founded the company and once served as Executive VP of Business Development, though his current role is unclear. Reports suggest he was asked to step down due to RHONJ drama, But the company bankruptcy is just one of Luis's financial red flags. In 2024, he was called out over a $300,000 debt, allegedly owed to the party planner who threw a launch party for another one of his business ventures, a live streaming platform called Venivia. Add that to his $2.6 million tax lien, and Luis looks like a man who operates businesses on borrowed money and broken promises. Teresa, who served time for financial fraud, somehow saw no red flags in marrying a man with millions in tax debt and failing businesses. The pattern repeats. She chooses men who fund lavish lifestyles with debt and face legal consequences when it all collapses. From Erica's $25 million allegedly stolen from victims to Teresa's $3 million in tax debt. These housewives prove that fake fortunes crumble eventually. Some went to prison, others faced trials. All prioritized appearance over reality. Which financial disaster shocked you most? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more.